Today we got Alexander Matthey, CTO of Parloa. Parloa is a conversational AI tool that actually changes how business talk to customers. Alexander has been doing this for over 20 years. That's a long ass time. He was CTO of Adyen when they were scaling payments globally, and before that at Glossybox, where he built the tech that powers the customer experience. He knows how to take vision and turn that into an actual working product. At Parloa, he's making AI conversations that don't suck. Alexander, great to have you here. Let's get paid.
Alex, so good to have you. Thanks again for joining us. You are a wealth of experience for our listeners, especially since you've been in beauty, you've been in fintech, and now you are in AI agents and customer service. I don't even know where to start, so let me start at the very beginning. So what are you doing differently at Parloa that you did at Adyen and then even before at your beauty startup companies? What are the things that you took and what did you ditch?
I think the biggest differentiator is I think I was always obsessed with speed, and I was also obsessed with focus. However, currently the industry is moving very fast as well, and also there's so much noise and so much things that can disturb you so much more than in fintech and so much more than in beauty or customer experience at that time with Glossybox. So I think that's probably the biggest difference that I'm noticing, that the main two things, speed and focus, they are still there, but it's much more difficult to navigate in them during in such a fast moving industry.
So what are you doing differently now that competition is higher and the speed is not your clock speed, but it's a market slot speed that is faster? What do you stop doing and what you start doing?
In general, it's still the same things. I think it's super important that we have a good understanding where to go. And it's more important in an environment like ours right now, where the industry is still developing and you can easily, get sidewayed all the time to actually understand what is it that we're trying to achieve and keep the direction. And also within the organization to help everybody to understand that so that they can actually help to drive fast decisions towards that. That's something that I feel is super important in order to keep moving fast.
So for those who don't know what Parloa does, do you mind spending a minute or so explaining what is Parloa, what does it do, and how is it different?
Yes. So Parloa is a company that has the goal to deliver personalized AI agents to large enterprises globally. We do believe that long-term, the customer experience will differ from where it is right now, where in the past websites were used with clicking and then apps were coming with touching and scrolling. And I think we believe that in the future people will want to talk to somebody at customers, and that's what Parloa is building towards. And the first place where we start with is customer service, where we help automating incoming customer traffic independent of the channel, independent of the language, independent of the region, and increase the customer experience there. But long term, we believe it will scale, and people will not just reach out when they have a problem like it is with customer service right now, but they will prefer to talk to their personalized AI agent going forward. That's what we are building for.
In a world where you win, what human are you replacing in this case? Is it a customer support agent, or are you elevating the role, or tell me more what the makeup of a company is when Parloa is done with its mission?
Well, I would probably put it different. I think we are thinking a lot on how would we understand that we have been winning, and the moment that we have been winning is, I believe at least, is when we are not just have taken over or being used for incoming customer volume, but when actually that volume grows beyond that because people start talking about it more. So in our future, there will still be interactions where humans will be involved. So I think the job of a customer service agent will not completely go away, but it will become much more specialized on very complex use cases, on very specific use cases. So therefore, it will also be more fun.
Right.
However, for end customers, it will be a much better experience than it is right now, because you will not have opening hours, you will not have to wait in line, you will not have to talk in a language that you don't like, you will not be limited to the certain mood of a person, but you will always talk to the same agent that knows you, that has all the history, and that is capable of doing many, many things more than any single human could do.
What is the thing that makes Parloa different that very few people understand and you wish they understood?
Well, there is many different companies playing in our area, and the way how we believe the future will be is that if you want to serve the largest companies in the world, they will invest a lot into AI themselves as well. And I think the real challenge will be in combining their efforts with the stuff that they don't really care about, that is not core to their business. So we are investing a lot into connecting an agent management platform. This is how we call our product, with the customers' subsystems, whatever that is, ERPs, whatnot, and help them scale that around the world, really globally, with all the certifications necessary in order to be relevant for large enterprises.
And are you saying nobody else is doing that, or are you saying you're doing that better than anybody else?
Well, we don't see that many that are agentic first, global, and voice first.
Okay. And what happens? One of the points that you made before we got into this was competition is accelerating, right? With this ability of people to spin up agents and to use tools to just get things out quickly. How do you see this market developing? So it's already pretty competitive. Does it get more competitive over time, or do you think that people start dropping out and chasing other avenues of growth?
I do believe we are really at the start of it. So I think it will become much more competitive. However, I think also the use cases will become much wider. So the market in general is huge. And obviously, going back to your question from before, obviously, I do believe strongly that Parloa will solve it better than for others. However, we don't solve it for everybody. So to give you one example, like if we would work with a large retailer, for example,
Yeah.
we would most likely not focus on building a strong recommendation engine, because we believe that's what they are very good at. This is where they will invest their own AI capabilities into. This is where they have their own history and everything. We will allow them to connect that well to the existing agents cross-channel around the globe, agentic first, and not and so
Got
on.
it. So, you're a big fan of building a lot of things in house, as that was your mode at Adyen, and you maybe bringing that into Parloa. How do you think of for your customers? Shouldn't they be building their own agents too? They have the technology, they have the IT departments, they have everything. And why should they go to a third party like you to get it?
Yeah. Well, I think, and that was also already my message at Adyen, and it's still the message here, is that I think you want to control what's really important for your business.
Hmm.
And I don't believe that the development resources of many large customers, many large enterprises, are best used to build an agentic OS, to think about how to build simulations, evaluations for agents, how to build guardrails across different regions, how to build a hierarchical tenant system so that you can, operate many agents in different setups. How do you versionize agents? All of that shebang is not really their core.
Yeah.
So we're spending a lot of time on that, and we don't believe that this is the best use for our customers' AI capabilities. They should, think about how to communicate. What's the knowledge that our agents need to have? What's the capabilities that they need to have in order to recommend the right thing, or solve the problem in the fastest way, or upsell or cross sell or whatever it is.
Yeah. as things get easier, do you expect that to continue, or you expect that you're fighting internal products, build here first, that kind of thing, or you feel like people are just going to start hunkering down into their into the core competences?
Yeah, my belief is it will not be easy. Typically, it's never easy for large enterprises. There is many requirements when it comes to making it really bulletproof, increasing the accuracy and the reliability, the resiliency to limits where they can really rely on it.
Yeah,
And I think that will continue to be challenging. And that's what you're seeing in the market right now as well. That's kind of getting to a good demo
yeah,
is something that many companies can do, and also what a lot of customers see. However, we are very successful with customers because we can show them that it's working live with very high accuracy, and that's what customers need.
yeah.
Will it change, and will some of the things that we currently solve, there will be generic solutions for it? I guess so. However, I also think that the use cases will become much wider, and how agents will be used by enterprises. And therefore, we believe that there's so much that companies can invest into making these experiences for customers the right thing and the best behavior, that for the time being, we believe if we're the one that actually allows all of these capabilities to then be delivered cross-channel to their end customers with agents,
Mm.
that is a use case that we fully focus on.
So, what is an agent doing, say, a year from now that is not capable right now? So, like, as you see the models getting better, you saw that O3 drop its price by like 80%. So, as you see the models getting better and more accurate, what is something that your agent is doing next year that is not able to do right now?
That is a good question. I think the biggest part is that they will become able to do more things at the same time. Where right
Mm.
now, what you see is that system prompts and, in general, prompt and context windows are still limited to a certain extent.
Yeah.
There is more and more work being put into how to slice and dice that in an effective way going forward, so that you can actually have one agent being able to manage multiple use cases, not just a handful, but actually hundreds, and still be effective and fast and efficient as well.
So, are you saying more, just faster, more efficient?
Yeah, and more use cases. So what you see right now is that, I don't know, like the first use cases are intent recognition, or the first use cases are, take over a few of the higher volume use cases, where I think that will grow over time and over time
Yeah.
towards, also being able to receive payments, or also being able to not just help cancel a booking or refund a booking, but actually plan a whole trip. I think all of these things are much more complex. And if we are working with large enterprises, very often the systems on their side are not yet able to offer all of these capabilities through APIs or MCP or whatever to other systems like an agent. There is
Mm.
work to be done on both sides. And this is the project that we're mostly working on right now. So I think in a year from now, you will see that this span of things that agents can help you with will have increased quite dramatically.
So, if you were to start a company right now, so knowing what you know, let's say that for a minute, you go home and you have like a Jerry Maguire moment and you're like, fuck it all. I'm going to start from scratch. I know what I need to know, and you go. How would you start a company that competes with Parloa right now that beats Parloa? Well, what would be your secret that you know that nobody else knows?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure if I want to tell. Uh,
Because then you wouldn't be able to start that company. All right, so give me something that is, what is something that that is that well known and understood that you could use to parlay into massive success, whether at Parloa or in a new company.
yeah. Well, I think there is a strong lever into the industry, especially the enterprise industry, if you from the very start think about how to make it a modular system, to be honest. So that you do not only rely on one very specific agent SDK, one specific LLM, one specific SCT or TTS provider, but that you actually build it in a way that it's modular, that helps to kind of adjust the platform to the specific needs of every large customer. It's still one, so you want to be able to develop one, but it allows to serve for the different needs. Is it a Google shop or AWS shop or a Microsoft shop? Is it, is there a focus or a consumption plan already with one of them, or all of these things? Many of that is very difficult to be built in afterwards. So I think focusing on that is something that we now do, and I think starting with that is not a bad idea.
Interesting. And will you do that for cost savings, or will you do that to deliver a better experience to your customer?
Mostly to be able to deliver a better service to customers, but they might do it out of cost reasons.
So give me an example right now of like you have two models that kind of look the same, right? Let's say Anthropic and OpenAI, of course, right? Like, and you have one customer service agent that is doing just straight up, answering questions for solutions, billing, etc. And you have in this other case one that is, not only resolving questions, but is trying to upsell you something the moment that query is done. Do you have a point of view at this point of like what model works better for each of these things, or that performs better?
Yeah, we do. So we do actually run tests. I'm not sure if that's the real differentiation. I would say it's what we see right now more is that it's around latency, around how it is handling different languages and stuff like that.
Oh, interesting.
However, I think with the right model for the right use case, you can actually solve many things right now already.
Yeah.
However, there will be and there is already use cases right now where enterprises actually have a preference because I don't know, like their legal team already approved a certain setup, and I want to make sure that it's that one. And your way in will be way faster if you're able to solve for that. Rather than you come up with a one-stop shop and you say like buy this from this X new company, and you have to go through the whole hassle again.
Interesting. Are you able to, let's say that the enterprise that you're selling to has a big contract with one of the foundational model companies. Are they asking you to go and use their tokens in their contract so that they don't have to pay through you? And do you have the ability to do so? Or is that something that where you say like, no, like I run my own shop?
Yeah. Well, then no. So it is an ask, and it is something we can offer. It is typically not the first thing because right now it's mostly about speed. So also these companies that don't want to hassle with all of that setup, they want to ensure that they get a proof of concept or proof of value up and running quickly, so that they can go back to their board and say, we do have now kind of something running that actually shows the value of agents. However, I think the long term, what you're seeing is that large enterprises, right? For them, customer experience, customer communication is fundamental. This is the one thing that they want to keep control about. So either for cost reasons or for other reasons, they potentially see value. At least some of them see value in having a chance to run that in their own environments, or having a chance to use their own models, either their fine-tuned ones or their preferred ones or whatever. So this is capabilities that we either have or we are foreseeing and we are building towards.
Interesting. So how do you differentiate in a world where everybody can make the same claim? So let's say you started with saying, we have a global platform distributed in many languages serving all these things. But you presumably can, like anybody can make the same claim, even if they're not true, right? Like anybody can say, like, "Yep, I got it all, just like Parloa. I'm just cheaper." And given that you guys charge for credits, I'm like, my credit is cheaper than Parloa's.
Yeah.
So how do you like? What's a solve? What's a hack?
Well,
to sound different and look different.
My experience from Glossybox, but also very much from Adyen, and it's the same here at Parloa as well. It's an execution game. Ultimately, you need to build the right things in the fastest and best way in order to compete, and somebody else can do it the same way. it's just very difficult. And that's, I think, the challenge. You need to be better in building and executing it than others.
Yeah.
It's the same with I don't know, like a Ferrari. Can somebody else build a Ferrari? Yes. It's also only steel and a motor and an engine and some leather and stitching. Is somebody else capable of doing it? Well, that's the problem. So you need to get the right team together, and you need to focus on really building that Ferrari, and then you get there.
Yeah.
And if on the way, maybe you take a turn and say, like, I want to make it cheaper, or I want to make it not red or whatever, then it will not be a Ferrari at the end. So we know where we want to go, and we are executing towards that. Will others be there as well? Potentially. We believe we can build a better car, the better system. And it's the same with Adyen. Could have other people built what Adyen has? Yes, there's no blockers that nobody else could have done that. But it's damn difficult. You need to have the right people to do so, and you need to keep the focus on it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here as well.
I love the Ferrari. So let me play that forward, since this fits into your expansion into the US. So you've seen that movie Ford versus Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
Right. And that, Ferrari came in very, very arrogant, we're Italian, we build cars, we make it by hand, like in my factory, what I mean? Whereas Ford just came in crazy American talk, and like they just put out a car that kick his ass. So as you're about to enter the US market with your Ferrari, right? What are the things that you're thinking about differently? So you got an execution machine that has, cleared the decks here in Europe. What's the move in the US? Like, who are you bringing to bear? What's the new weaponry that you're bringing into this fight?
Well, I think, again, it's an execution game. If you think about what Ford really did differently, is they were thinking a few things completely out of the box. This is
Okay.
how they ultimately won it. And I think the US is really good at that, and we copy that. Therefore, we are investing heavily in the US. We want to get that DNA in. We have an office in the US. We are hiring there a lot, because we also want to be a US company. There is some value in being global as well. If you're looking at the largest companies in the world, they are all global as well, and they will want to run their agents globally. So having that experience and having that mindset is something that will be beneficial going forward. But we for sure want to, we want to take that speed and that arrogance to a certain extent in-house as well, and become partly a US company in order to enter or be
And
successful in the
what are
US.
the elements of the speed and arrogance that you're taking in? Like, what if you were to break it down? What are you taking in, and where you stop doing, where you start doing?
Well, I think there is some very well. I don't think we're stopping a lot of stuff. We are obviously bringing our Ferrari, if we want to stay with that picture. Bring it to the US, and we will make sure it fits US companies as well.
Yeah.
We do believe that sometimes it is a different feeling if you sit down in a Ferrari versus if you sit down in a Ford. So you need to show it. The good thing is our car is driving. We can show it. We also have had some success in the US market already, so we have the chance to do this. But we do believe that there is some, very, very, very good talent in the market as well, that we want to leverage, not just as a go-to-market function, but also in helping us to further define the platform going forward. And probably that's the biggest pieces.
Got it. Who has done this well, and what can you learn from them?
In the agentic space specifically,
Or
or
like in general, like who has, moved from one market to the next and taken
I
over
think at
and
Adyen
won?
we have not been bad at it. So Adyen obviously started as a European company first,
Uh-huh.
solving global issues, but then also entering the US market first, solving global issues there before becoming very successful in the in the local market as well. I
Yeah.
think that could be something that could help there as well, to actually work with large US companies for where they have their biggest problems right now, solve them for them, and grow from there.
Yeah. What right now in your mind in the market is hype versus reality? Like, what are people talking about too much that is not really real, and what is real?
Well, first and foremost, I have to say that I'm a strong believer that agentic AI is one of the first things that deserve the hype for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I really strongly believe that.
But wait, why it deserved the hype for a long time? Like why it hasn't had the hype?
Yeah, because many technologies in the past have promised that they would change the world and ultimately did not. I do strongly believe that agentic AI will actually have an impact on many angles of our society, will change jobs, will change how education works, will change how communication goes. So I think we underestimate the long-term impact. We
Yeah.
do, I think, on the other hand, overestimate the short-term one, especially because there is large, I think people underestimate the nitty-gritty details that are necessary in order to bring things in production into scale at a high accuracy, and that deserves future work that still has to be put in, and
Yeah.
that's, I think, actually true for all the technologies that we are trying out. Very often they work well to a certain extent, but they are not ready to be, be used at high scale for large enterprises, and a lot of work has to be put into it,
Yeah. So
even
no
with the hyperscalers
so
sometimes.
no vibe coding at Parloa.
No, we do use it, but you need to oversee it. We use it heavily, and I think it's that's a very good example of the job of a software engineer is fundamentally changing, and you need to get there. Am I a person that believes that you currently need one engineer and that can do the work of 10 engineers from a year ago? I don't think so. However, can you be a software engineer in the future without using agents to help you be productive? I don't think that's a chance. Like, if you in 2 years try to get a job and say, like, I don't do that vibe coding thing, like, I'm still more productive than all of these hundreds of agents, that will not work.
Mm.
And people don't get that in all cases yet.
So what would you say? Are you going to open engineering capacity in the US as well? Or you're just gonna leave it in Germany?
We will do at some point.
The opening engineering capacity in Germany,
Yeah,
in the US.
in
So
the
is it
US.
gonna be a global distributed engineering team, or is it like just a couple centers
We
as you
do
grow out?
believe strongly in keeping the connection between commercial folks and engineers,
Mhm.
so that you actually have the people that are in very constant touch with your customers, be close to the people that build the product. So
Yeah,
we will group these teams around commercial teams. Right now, we're mostly focused on New York. That will change if we are super successful, but it's not planned yet.
yeah. So what do you make of the whole forward deployed engineer concept? Is it something that you plan to embrace at Parloa? Are you familiar with it? That you think it's a fad, it will pass? Like where are you on this? Everybody's talking about it, so I figure that you probably brought it up too.
We talk about it as well, and we do see value in it. We do see value in it. We might adopt it in our way going forward. The reason is that it helps to close gaps that the product has not yet solved,
Yeah,
and through that we look at it very much as a tool to verify some assumptions that we have in a little bit cheaper way than building it into the product just yet. So we work quite closely, not with all customers, but with some selected ones, to further develop the platform in the right direction. And then for deployed engineers can help quite a lot to understand the needs very precisely and test out different strategies on solving that for one customer. And if we then believe in that being a long-term solution, we will take it into the platform and build it out for everybody.
so you have done it or you haven't done it yet? Like where are you on this?
We are working that way, but we haven't established, I think, the function yet. But we are
Got it.
discussing to establish the function because we do see it working quite well.
Got it. So what would be a disadvantage of having an FDE program?
I think you need to be extremely critical around not always only having proof of concepts running and never really take something in house
Yeah.
and make it part of your generic offering. Then you end up with a platform, a very minimal platform with many different external systems that you partly have control about, that are not really reusable, that are maybe not generic enough to actually add value to others.
Right.
I think it would be helpful if you build something that actually has an impact on many others, and that is very difficult to achieve with.
Right. But isn't that the risk though? Like you run that risk at all times if you have an FTE, because that's the point, right? Like you're deploying an engineer to like solve the problem at the point of the
Exactly,
customer.
and therefore I think you have to be quite crisp about, is it something that is worth or not being being made part of the generic platform, and if so, then do it there and stop the FDE work on that specific feature, but start selling the real one.
Yeah.
So in the best case scenario, you build something once, see it works, build it as a roadmap item into your generic platform, and then run it everywhere else. And hopefully, you would be able to migrate the initial one
Got
over
it.
to the other one, to the new one as
So
well.
speaking of that, at Adyen, you grew up engineering headcount 6x. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's true.
Six. That's a massive number. Is that happening again? Like, is there a world in which you grow engineering headcount by 6x, or the agents for coding have made that not a problem anymore, and you don't need nearly as many people to have the same impact? What's your take?
It's for sure not a goal. So I think engineering productivity will grow dramatically going forward. So and we're embracing that technology, and we investing in it. We are training the people. So this is our main way of growing. If we become extremely successful, then there is a chance that we as an organization grow, I don't know, by 10x, and then maybe also engineering grows 6x, but it's not a goal in itself. Like I do believe we need to get to very performant delivery with a way smaller team than in the past. What was possible in the past?
Got it. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you the core question that we ask all our guests. So like you're generating all this value for your customers. How are you capturing that value now, and how do you see capturing that value in the future?
Yeah. So right now, kind of we're mostly looking at consumption. So we want to, as I said earlier, I think we do see success in the agents being used a lot.
Mm.
And so this is also the discussion that we have with our customers. Going forward, yeah, I think it would be nice to be able to pay agents for the tasks that they have successfully achieved and actually deliver value. So that is our long-term goal. The metrics around that and measuring that in a smart, efficient way is rather complex and not really where all the market is right now. If you would ask me in a few years from now, I think that will be the standard, and Parloa wants to be one of the drivers of that.
Mm.
So we build a lot of technology around being able to analyze what a conversation was about and creating insights into that. And together with this data and with our customers' insights, we can actually, currently we already steer into the agents have more impact.
Mm.
And going forward, once we have a strong and clear enough view on that, we will be able to also start charging specifically for this.
And why do you think the market is not quite there yet? Like, is it geography by geography, or is it like the
No, I
customers
think
that you're
like
seeing?
the customer service market is
Oh,
very much looking at, I don't know, minutes or budgets or headcount or stuff like that, rather than actually tickets being solved.
okay.
And is also kind of, it's in like you get into a rabbit hole to a certain extent if you start thinking about what is a deflected call. Is that created, has that created value or not? It definitely has created costs. So, in certain situations, it maybe should be paid, but it could be the wrong thing or it could be the right thing.
Mm.
And that's something that is not only at Parloa to decide that, but it is something that you need to do together with your customers.
Yeah.
And there, the metrics are very different and not always aligned right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's let's call that a wrap. Thanks again for joining us. That was pretty awesome. I think we got a lot of good information out of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you in next time we're in Berlin.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that as well.